through Saturday, you can hit that notification button on all of the shows that are up there so far so that you guys can be reminded, because even if you're watching us from Twitter or Twitch, and it goes live when we go live, so you don't have a post notice of it or a pre-notice of it. Here on YouTube, if you hit the notification button, it'll push notification to your phone, let you know that we are live, and then you can join from Twitch or Twitter, even though you like and subscribe from us from YouTube. So, that helps. And then we have this dynamic on YouTube right now where we are in the 16 by 9, well, the 16 by 9 here and the 9 by 16 here. And we've got the comment section down here at the bottom, and then the comments that I address at the top for the 9 by 16, and the comment section right here in the 16 by 9, and then the comment that I'm addressing right here. And it's kind of I'm looking at three different screens right now, and I'm like, oh Jesus, plus everybody else. So you can only imagine how this is going to turn out when people start clicking the links in the comment section, approving the mic, approving the camera, and coming into my green room where I can put them up on a screen. And then I got me at the top and them at the bottom and me on the left and them on the right. And whew, whew. But Dylan says, yikes, I have had credit cards stolen, so I always like uh, to have 5 or 6 credit cards available. Good, good. You should. And we're going to be getting into that. We're going to be getting into that. Having 5 or 6 credit cards is good revolving credit history. Having a diversified line of credit actually helps you as well, because if you have multiple different credit card companies that you have, and then you also have like a loan setup that you're paying down that is in good standings. And then so these things diversifies your credit history, and it shows that you're able to pay back the debts that you accumulate. Anybody who's aiming to get to be a black card member, the one thing that you're going to need is to spend a lot of money and then pay it all back. So if you're trying to get black cards are invite only. So if you're trying to get there, you're gonna have to make you some dang money before you can spend enough money to qualify to be a black card holder. So we are in the matrix. Never heard that before with the studio setup, bro. It is crazy. I gotta give it to YouTube. They are trying their best because they forced all of the content creators into the 9 by 16. But a lot of us are old school, and we still do the 16 by 9 format from back in the day, way back when like MySpace was still a thing. We're still used to the old long form version. And most people prefer that because their computers, their cell phones flip sideways and do the 16 by 9 by default, and then does the fill. But if you do a 9 by 16, it'll have the black bars on both sides, and nobody likes that. It distracts them from paying attention to it, and then they don't have a zoom in feature, so it's crazier. Wide is so much easier. Oh yeah, and then you can put it on your TV. So if you're watching YouTube from your television at your house, then I am the TV show that you are watching right now in your living room. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe. They have to use 2 devices just to respond. Yeah, because you gotta be able to see, and then you gotta be able to comment. Because if you push the comment section, it minimizes the screen and then pulls up just the comments, so you can't see what's happening while you're typing, and that interferes with your entertainment. But if you're able to listen to what's being said while you're typing, you can still learn something along the way. And that's what we're going to be trying to do today. We're going to be trying to teach everybody what they need to know about credit cards specifically, because not a lot of people realize what we got going on with these credit cards. And you could actually improve your credit cards and reduce your interest rates on your car insurance, reduce your mortgage, reduce your yeah, reduce the interest on your student loans. You can increase your credit limits, which qualifies you for higher credit scores, which qualifies you for higher credit limits. You don't got to do squat. You just make it do what it do. And in those situations, you're able to tiptoe right on out and go from having a like be excited about that $1,000 credit limit to having a 100 or $250,000 credit limit, or having 5 or 6 of those $250,000 credit limits. Where if your credit score is that high and your credit limit is higher than your student debt, and you're able to use that credit limit to go and do things when you're starting up a new business as a personal guarantor, you give your business a credit limit. All you got to do is keep that credit limit in good standings and use that credit limit to get your business unsecured lines of credit. Then you can start charging stuff to the unsecured line of credit. And if the business tanks for any reason, the unsecured line of credit doesn't negatively impact your personal line of credit. And then when you start doing business bankruptcies and everything like that and liquidating assets, your personal credit is not negatively impacted by that, which allows your personal credit to stay clean. Once your personal credit gets clean and stays clean, then all you it's easier for you to start up a second or third or fifth business because there is no limit to the number of businesses that you can start up. Long as you're capable of paying for the because it used to be free, but now you got to pay for it. The social security, the tax identification number for the business. Once you pay for that, and I think that's like 250 right now, you pay for that, get your business name set up, get yourself set up with the IRS, and then in some states and some cities you have to register in the city or the state in order to do business in that city or state. And then after you finish doing that, you can hit the ground running because from day one, if you've got a 720 or an 800 credit score, your business has an 800 credit score because you are the founder of the business, which allows you to hit the ground running. And then you can start doing all kind of stuff with your business. Interesting. So you're going to be going, and if all of your assets are owned cash up front and the debt is on credits, lines of credit for the business, if something happens to the business, they're not taking the house and the car because the house and the car is owned separately from the business. So, like if you have the house in your name and the car in your name, and the business owns the mortgage, the business owns the well, not the mortgage, because if you foreclose on a mortgage, they're just taking the fucking house. But if you bought the house cash up front, say uh uh $500,000 worth of credit cards, bought the house, you got the deed, and then the money that was put towards getting that deed, that debt needs to be paid. If that debt defaults, the cash is separate from the loan. I mean, the cash is separate from the property. You buy a car cash up front. If the car that you bought cash up front, you keep the car and the debt is somewhere else. You got to pay that debt. If you default on paying that debt, the car is still bought and paid for. So though that's how you separate your assets from your debt. Some people have multiple businesses. You have one business that juggles the debt and one business that owns the assets. So the car isn't your car. The car is the business's car. The house is the business's house, but the other business owns the debt towards it. So if this business liquidates, the assets are owned over here. So somebody can't come and sue you because you don't own shit. There's that dynamic as well. Welcome to the Trump Towers. The Trump Towers, Trump Drive, Trump Villa, all of those Trump construction companies that defaulted. He's still a billionaire. But as we start getting into this tax discussion, he said, Mike, Dylan said, very smart. I need to learn more. Yeah, we need to start digging into this. When you guys come to this and that, we're talking about this, that, and everything in between that is funneled into a niche of personal development, either improving your business skills or improving your personal skills so that your personal life can positively improve your business life and your business life can positively improve your personal life. That's the goals. Hopefully, you'll be able to take this advice and retire early. Hopefully, you'll be able to take this advice and retire at all and be able to utilize that to live for the remainder of your days, not having to worry about where your money is coming from. Hopefully, you'll be able to improve your decision making skills so that you're not allowing people to ruin your life. You're not allowing yourself to ruin your life. And you can find ways to make yourself happier, not by being destructive, but by being proactive. So, when we think about, fixing your credit score, you think to yourself, you did it. That feeling is incredible, isn't it? Right? Like you got there. You crossed over 720, you crossed over 750, right? You're so excited that you get there, right? And you stare down a mountain of credit card debt, a balance that felt like it would be with you forever, and you conquered it. You scraped, You save, you sacrifice, and you finally made that last glorious payment. You probably even got rid of all your student loan debt. That balance is zero and the weight is gone, right? You imagine your credit score in that situation, that all powerful 3 digit number getting ready to blast into the stratosphere. And you've been responsible, you've done the right thing, on time payments, no late fees. You're expecting this to be your reward. So check this out. You log into your credit app because a lot of us got a lot of fintech apps, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian apps. Some of us have FICO score apps attached to our bank accounts or our credit card accounts, and you get in there and uh, you got this little smirk on your face, like, yeah, this is gonna be good, ready to see the results of your hard work, and then your jaw hit the floor because the number you see on the screen is not higher. In some situations, it's lower. Sometimes it's a lot lower, a 20, 30, even a 50-point drop. All that discipline, and your reward is a penalty. It feels broken. It feels like a slap in the face. And if this happened to you, know this: you're not crazy and you're not alone. This confusing, frustrating, and downright backward scenario is incredibly common, and it's a hidden trap that trips up thousands of people who are genuinely trying to improve their financial lives. But here's the good news: there's a very specific, logical reason this happens, and it's not random and it's not a punishment, it's a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding of what a credit score really designed to measure. Today, we're going to pull back yet another curtain on why paying off your debt can temporarily tank your score. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the playbook, the correct way to manage your debt so that you can avoid this painful drop and actually engineer a massive, lasting boost to your credit score. So, before we get on that, Dylan, you were telling me that you keep 6 credit cards with you, revolving credit cards, because your credit cards keep getting stolen. I'm going to give you an unorthodox tip right now. Have you ever heard of what is called a dummy wallet? A dummy wallet is a wallet that holds all of your expired credit cards in it, maybe even an expired ID. And if there's any cash in it, it's a very small quantity of cash, less than 20 bucks. And when you go places, that's the wallet that you reach for when you're trying to do stuff in the streets, especially when you're in unfamiliar territory that might be otherwise skeptical. Whether it is a holiday event, a new neighborhood, even if it's an upscale neighborhood, if it's um, a house party or a new friend or a new group of people that you're not used to being around, yeah, dummy wallet. Now, what happens is that if they steal your wallet, the most they're going to get is the cash that was in your wallet. None of the credit cards are valid. They have no accurate information. I would not have an old driver's license in there. I might have an expired passport card that has no information on it besides my name. I would probably have like a student ID or something like that that shows that the wallet belongs to me. That's about it. And then after that, if they were to try to like armed robbery on the streets and take your wallet, well, if you hand them the dummy wallet, you're not arguing with them, you're not debating them. They got the wallet. They're going to run. Most people who are not involved in situations like this only have one wallet. So they're not expecting you to have a second, right? And in that situation, you can avoid conflict. They can walk away with the wallet. And if it's an old, cheap, used up wallet that you don't even use anymore anyway, and it is used to bypass conflict and prevent you from actually having your information stolen, that's a pretty good way to do it. It works with traveling as well. Because if you leave all of your important information, you shouldn't take your driver's license with you when you fly to another country, because unless you have a permit to drive in that other country, what is your driver's license doing in that country? The only thing you should have in that country would be your passport book and your passport card. And that is the only thing that you would need. So your driver's license and all the other stuff should be at your house in America, and then everything else that you're taking with you should be with you. Now, that does not mean that you should not have some other type of documentation information in your luggage. Um, Maybe take a screenshot of your driver's license and your social security card and drop it into your personal email, or something like somewhere where you can access it, where if everything that you have gets stolen from you while you're overseas, you can still log into a computer, pull up your personal information, and print out proof that you are who you say you are, even if they take everything else from you, so that they can take, because what they're going to need is the passport number, which we're not going to remember because most people don't even know their driver's license number. And you should memorize that because that keeps you from being shot to death in Chicago. You should memorize your driver's license number before you memorize your social security number, and then your passport number. And if you have that, a screenshot of your passport card, a screenshot of your passport book, and a screenshot of your driver's license in a folder that can be accessed on your computer, whether it's in a cloud or whatever the case may be. If you're in another country and you end up in that situation where you got robbed, hey, let me use your computer. I can log in and I can prove to you that I am who I say I am, and that is all they need to see. And they'll help you get your stuff, get some stuff to get you back home, right? But yeah, dummy wallet. People don't think about that. But as it pertains to all of your credit cards, when your credit cards get stolen, they might issue you a new card, they might issue you a new account, but it does not terminate the actual account. So it's not like every time your credit card gets stolen, they start up a new line of credit for you. They just change all of the credit card information on the account to reflect the fact that the old line of access to your account is no longer accessible, and there's a new line of access to your account. But the bill itself, the history of this account, this service that's being provided from that credit card is going to be the same. So if you have six credit cards and one of them gets stolen and they give you a replacement card with a replacement number, they just gave you a replacement card and a replacement number for the same account. The bill is still due. They're not giving you a new line of service and saying, oh, you don't owe us any money from the stuff that you actually did charge on the card. You still owe that. It's just anything that you charged, that anything that was charged that wasn't you, you don't owe that. That's the difference. Now, Dylan said, I mean, the number gets leaked or compromised, not actually stolen, just copied by like a waitress or server, I think. Okay, so that's a good statement while we're talking about credit cards. You should have a secured credit card or a prepaid card that you use for situations like that. Um, you really should have. So here's the funny thing: you should probably have a card for every type of transaction that you do. The way I told you guys, you should have a few hundred bank accounts in your disposal, or access to your disposal, so that you can do what you need to do. When you're going to restaurants, people steal. If you have an account that only has access to what is on the card, like a prepaid card, if they take the information off of that card, the most you're going to get is what is on that card. And if all you put on that card was enough to cover the bill, they're not getting shit else. That card is not linked to another card where they can break into that card and then see every other card that it's linked to. Likewise, and really linked accounts happen specifically in situations where your bank part links all of your accounts together, or you have a bank that is a partner with another bank and you link all the services between those two banks together. That's the only time when those things happen. But if you have two separate banks, like say Wells Fargo and Bank of America, I hate Bank of America, but let's say that you have those two. Bank of America is not going to show you credit card information for Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo is not going to show you credit card information for Citibank. So if you had different credit cards for different credit card companies, and you're going to use your $500 limit card for a restaurant charge, you use a different card for a gas charge, you use a different card for online purchases, whatever you use that card for, and that's all that card is used for. First time it's used for something else, they're going to flag it and freeze it because that's not the normal transactions that happens on that card. If you get a specific credit card that has restaurant perks, you only use that card for restaurants. You get a specific card that works for frequent flyer miles, you're only using that card to buy plane tickets. You get a card for fuel perks, you're only using that card to put gas in your car. Doesn't matter what else it does. But if you only use it for that, what are they going to get? But then think about this for while you're talking about them copying your card information. A lot of people, a lot of young bucks, Gen Zs, y'all add all y'all credit cards to y'all wallet, y'all Google Wallet, y'all Apple Pay, Samsung Pay wallet. It's on your phone. There's an NFC button that is active on your phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in order for you to auto pay by tapping your cell phone onto the register, and it takes money off of your card. Convenient, right? Now, the same way that it can touch the register and money come off of your card is the same way somebody can pass by your cell phone with a card reader and take all the money off your phone. So you should not have any credit card devices accessible on your cell phone. And if you do, you should have extreme locks where it should take you 3 to 5 minutes to unlock your phone in a way where those payment options can be accessed to prevent or reduce the options for them to run off with your stuff. I just wanted to come across that before we start talking about this credit card thing. Michael say you better pay him off every month when you pay those credit cards. Yeah, you're right. Now, first, let's get something straight when we're talking about this. What we're about to discuss goes against almost everything that you guys have been told about debt. And I'm glad Michael's here to chime in on this because I'm gonna teach you a thing I'm a two whippersnapper. He's 70, 71 right now. He just had birthdays. He's a, he, all right, now we were taught that all debt is bad and paying it off is always good. Now, poor people learn this and poor people live by this and chasing the debt is what well, actually, really, we run from the debt. We're afraid of the debt and then, staple that shit to my credit report and da 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 da. You know what I mean? And that's the dynamic that we typically have. But when we're trying to do better in life, we're chasing the debt like all in on paying for the interest notes, paying those payments, not getting anywhere with the principal, but we're all in with paying those notes. And that's the wrong way to go. You're right. Not all debt is bad debt. Now, a good thing, if that is true for your overall financial health, it is an oversimplification for your credit score itself. The score doesn't operate on good or bad, it operates on risk and data. Okay. Yeah, do your homework. Y'all need to do y'all homework. A drop in your score after paying off a debt is usually temporary, often bouncing back within a few months. But the shock can lead people to make even worse decisions. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll recalibrate our understanding of what a credit score really is. Then we'll break down the three main culprits that causes your score to drop after you pay off a card or a loan. And then finally, I'll walk you through the strategic playbook for paying off debt the right way and the method that works with the scoring models so as to balance your ability to have your debt go down while your score goes up, just like you expect it to do. And yes, a house, well, hold on. The house itself is not debt. The mortgage on the house is debt. The house is an asset because as long as you own the house without the mortgage, you can leverage the house for capital that you can utilize to do whatever you want to do, whether you want to invest it, whether you want to buy something cash up front with it, whether you want to fix the house up some more or sell it, rent it out. It is an asset. The reason why it is a debt is because you only acquired the house from a mortgage because the average American cannot buy the house cash up front. So the house is a debt because the house is usually coupled with a mortgage. That's the only way you get it when you're poor. And I'm going to say when you're poor because even if you're making $500,000 a year, if you're living off of $499,000 of that, you're still poor. If you've got to borrow against anything in order to get the loan to get the house, you can't just take your paycheck and buy the house cash up front. You're poor. Just gonna put it there. That's right, FICO score. So best way to get out of debt is not to get into it. That's not true. That is not true because a lot of low income individuals or people who grew up who were born into low income environments were born into debt. You got some kids whose parents use their social security numbers for basic utilities. And then when the lights and water got cut off, the kids is in collections before they're 16. You got parents, especially from back in the 70s and 80s, who used to finance stuff through their kids' names, their kids' social security numbers. Donald Trump was just talking about that earlier this year. Is that there are businesses from 2019 pandemic area where business loans were taken out where the owner of the business was a child, 15, 16 years old child. And whether or not that loan was defaulted on doesn't matter. The fact that the loan application was fraudulently created under the social security number of a child. And if that loan did get defaulted on, that child is in the collections for that loan, even though they had nothing to do with it. And they can't prosecute their parents for it. So they're stuck with the debt. The only way that they can expunge that debt without having to be held responsible for that debt is if they were to, upon realizing that their information was used without their knowledge or consent, is report their parents and put their parents in prison for identity theft and fraud. And most kids aren't going to do that. So they're born into debt. So the best way to get out of debt is not to don't get into debt in the first place. The best way to get out of debt is to manage the debt more effectively to your benefits. The house is an asset if it makes you money. A house is an asset because it can make you money. The house appreciates in value and it can make you money because you can leverage that house across anything else. You can leverage that house to finance a car. You can leverage that house to buy another house. You can leverage that house to get cash and use that cash to put it into a stock market. The house is an asset. You can rent out the house to generate revenue. But if you have a mortgage on the house and you're not leveraging the house at the same time, then the house is just a liability because all you're doing is paying for the possession of it. In the meantime, it's a debt. It's, yeah, yeah. In the meantime, it's debt. So, first step is to completely change how you think about your credit score. Let's get into that because most of us see it as a report card on your financial health. Not quite. You kind of got an idea, but it's not quite that. We think a high score means I'm good with money, and a low score means I'm bad with money. And this is the fundamental illusion. A credit score is not a measure of your wealth. A credit score has one job to predict the likelihood that you will miss a debt payment in the next 90 days. That's it. It's a forecast of your reliability as a borrower. It answers one question for a lender. If I give this person money, how likely am I to get it back on time? Because of this, the entire system is built around analyzing your relationship with debt. It doesn't care if you have $1 million in the bank. It only cares about what it can see on your credit report, your history of borrowing money and paying it back. To understand why paying off debt can hurt you, you have to know the ingredients in the score. And while there are different models, especially now after what Donald Trump did in September, FICO is used over 90% of the time of lending decisions, and it relies on five basic factors, right? Is it until it actually making money it's debt? Yeah, well, that's right. That's why I like FICO score, even though I pay with cash. The FICO score we're used to. They have the Vantage 8 and the FICO 4 and all these other different ones that have come out recently. And some of them even calculate your payment history. Or not just your payment history, but your payment history for your utilities and stuff. I've noticed that if your payment history with your utilities and stuff is added to the quantity of consistent debt that you have, you might see yourself having your credit score go down because you're claiming your lights, water, gas, car insurance on your credit score. Now, while that helps show consistent payment history, it also shows an increase in debt. So, in order for you to rectify that, you still have to make payments and then increase your credit score throughout the thing. I was gonna be getting to that later today, but I wanted to tell you guys that a fantastic model that I told you guys before, in addition to what we're about to go through. We think about marriage, and a lot of people swear to God that it's supposed to be under the eyes of God, right? And then the rest of us know that it's a financial transaction. And while recognizing that it's a financial transaction, a lot of people don't get married; they just live together. And those people who live together, they just pool their money together and they do stuff together. And truthfully, the first thing you can do before you get married, before you get engaged, is get a joint bank account. If you guys can manage that without fucking up, you guys could probably move in the direction of getting married, right? Yeah, probably even before you move in with one another. You could probably, assess people's stability by maintaining things. But when you do get to that point where you move into the same house together, y'all are paying the same bills together, if you were trying to build up your credit, I told you guys, you should be able to work together to apply for 4 credit cards a year. And the reason why I say 4 credit cards a year is because the rule of thumb, and we're going to be talking about it later today on the show, is that you individually should be able to apply for a credit card once every 6 months. Now, if you're in a relationship with your partner, you get approved for a credit card, you add your partner onto the card as an authorized user. Both of you are going to have that card show up on your credit score. If your partner orders a card uh, 3 months later and then add you onto their card, within 6 months, you've been added to two different lines of credit, but you've only applied for one. You're only going to get the hit for the one, but you're going to get the credit boost for both. You will get a little bit of a hit for the average line of credit because you're going to have a new account, but it's going to be offset by the higher credit limit. So we're going to be talking about that later today as well. But if you did that twice a year, you should get 2 cards, add your partner on it. Your partner should get 2 cards, add you on it, and that means that you would have gained 4 cards a year. If you're getting $500 to $1,000 cards or $5,000 to $10,000 cards, and you're doing that 4 times a year, you're effectively improving your credit score, or not credit score, your credit limits by upward of 40,000 a year. If you're getting 10,000 dollar credit cards 4 times a year, but you're increasing it by 4,000 a year if you're getting $1,000 credit cards 4 times a year, but you're still either way boosting up your credit, which offsets the debt that should be stagnant or being paid down. And the reason why I say stagnant because some people barely pay the minimum balance and they just do their on time payments and they don't really try to attack the principal. But those people who specifically attack the principal, it'll be continuously going down with utilization, but continuously going up with the limit, which will continuously skyrocket the credit score. I think that that is something that not too many people think about. So if you're building a life together, before you say I do, try to build 25 or $50,000 worth of credit card utilization, not debt, credit card availability. And if y'all can do that, then y'all can get married. How much was the wedding? $150,000. Well, if we can get $150,000 worth of credit, we can go get married. He said before you get married, get your nuts good. Well, you don't necessarily have to do that because if you find a woman that values you as a man, you should not have to do that. Uniformity should not require a man to be submissive to a woman for a woman to feel equal. Women don't expect to be submissive to a man in order to be considered an equal, but they're also not willing to cooperate and be a partner with a man, and that turns into problems. How do you choose a leader, but you don't want to follow his lead? That's the only issue. There's no reason why a woman could not be the leader of her family. She could be the head of household. She could be in charge. She could be responsible for everything. The man can follow her lead if she respects him while he makes no decisions. But as long as women want a masculine man that is capable and is willing to make those hard choices, dive into those hard situations, take those punches, and come out swinging, and for the sake of the family, as long as they're expecting that type of man, the women have to be able to back that man by being his cut woman and piecing him back together and putting him back out in the ring and let him fight instead of fighting for him and saying, "Oh, you're not good enough because I had to fight my own battles." Well, sweetheart, if you get out the ring and let the man fight his own battles, you can be the Adrian to his Rocky because he only lost when she wasn't there. Think about it. Think about it. Didn't he lost to Apollo Creed? His wife wasn't there. The one time he got his ass whooped, his wife was not there. Adrian was not there. But every other time that man got out, he was not going down. Long as his wife was watching it, he was not going down. So you gotta understand, y'all could be the willpower for a man to become a better man if y'all are good women. But if you're not, no matter how much you claim you are, you attract an ain't shit man because you probably ain't shit. That's just the dynamic. And that goes both ways. An ain't shit dude will probably attract ain't shit women, and then he wonders why he can't find a good woman. That's because you're not good enough, my guy. You got to improve yourself first and then look for better. So Michael says if you're in high school, the credit card companies will send you a lot of them. Well, if you're in college, credit card companies will send you a lot of credit cards because they give credit student lines of credit. It is a way to get the students wrapped up in debt because it throws a bunch of money at them and they don't know what to do with it because most kids are not taught financial responsibility. Most kids are not taught how to balance budgets. They're not taught how to invest. They're not taught how to build generational wealth. So when they get all these lines of credit, they just see more money that they're capable of spending. Not all of us were taught to don't charge to your card what you don't have the cash to pay back. Not too many people are taught that. A lot of us are taught to subsidize our lack of income by using a credit card to cover the spread and then just make those payments on the card. But as we experienced with that 43-day shutdown, if you started charging stuff to your credit card thinking that you were going to pay the credit card down with your next paycheck and you missed three paychecks, not only did you max out your credit card, you missed the payment on your credit card and fucked up your credit. And just because the government started working on Friday, your paycheck might not be released till next week, Monday. It's not like it's going to automatically hit your account on Tuesday because the country just started running on Monday. You might just get your money on the next scheduled payday and just get all your money. Because back pay is back pay, but if the payday release date is the payday release date, and this week ain't that day, you still got to go a whole another week without your money. Your last payment was on the 24th of September, and your next payment ain't gonna be till the 22nd of November. That's 2 whole months of no fucking money. You just got to think about that. So don't spend what you don't have. That's a key of thumb. Now, back to the 143 days show never felt it. That's because your ass don't work. Well, you don't work for the government. I ain't feel it neither because I don't work for the government. And none of my clients work for the government, so it ain't hurt me neither. Now, let's start off with the first and most important part of this. This is going to be your payment history. It makes up a massive 35% of your score. And this is king. Do you pay your bills on time? One payment that's 30 days late can create a crater in your score for 7 years, meaning that you charge something, you forgot to make the payment on time, and it is more than 30 days from the date of the transaction. So the billing cycle came out, you had 2 weeks to pay, 2 weeks and 1 day passed by, it's late. That's a crater, you know, and nothing you can do about that. You can have a situation where times is tough, you ain't got enough money to pay all your bills, and you just let some of your bills go for a couple months, and then you try to get back at it. When you do that, you might see a 60-day, which is worse, or a 90-day, which is even worse. Or in some situations where you're bouncing back off of catastrophic failure for a whole season, you might see charge offs for 90 days or 120 days of non payment, which is even worse. These things drastically compromise your credit score. Um, Second, the most relevant for us today is accounts owned. These are the credit cards that are in your name, whether you're an authorized user or if you are the primary account holder. At 30% of your score, this is important. And this isn't just about your total debt. It's mostly about your credit utilization ratio, how much of your available credit you're using, right? And we'll get back to this one because it's usually the main culprit. Third, this is going to be the length of your credit history. It's about 15% of your card. Now, this looks at age of your oldest account, your newest account, and the average age of all accounts combined. A longer history suggests stability. Now, before we go any further, I just want you to recognize while the credit card companies are only supposed to report active lines of credit that are not more than 7 years ago. Things like student loans and active uh, 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 mortgages, car loans, and other such things that you are still paying 5 or 10 years down the line for whatever reason, those active loan accounts can be 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, depending on what you're paying for, 45 years for a mortgage. And that credit history from that very first student loan or that very first car loan or that very first house mortgage till today's most recent credit card is going to be the average between the two. So, right here is a huge issue because if you just got a credit card within the last 12 months and you cancel that card, the life of that card is 12 months. If the total span of your credit history is 14 years, if you add 14 plus 1 divided by 2, it is 7.5 now. That situation right there drastically modifies the value of that number. Again, when you're adding lines of credit, because we just talked about if you took one, if you added one and took it off. But if you're adding one and you're adding one and you're adding one and you're adding one, the average is still going to be shorter than the full length. Fourth is going to be your credit max at 10% of your whole credit score. The models like to see that you can responsibly manage different types of debt, like the revolving credit of credit cards and installment loans in mortgages and auto loans. So if you've come out of bankruptcy, you can effectively get into a mortgage and pay that bad boy down. You can pay it down quick, but you need to let it linger at the same time. Car loans. You can put a massive down payment on a car loan if you're going to get a car loan. I wouldn't do it, but if you're going to get a car loan, you get the car loan, put a massive down payment down, and then Space it out to where you're doing like $50 a month payments on your car note. Now, you and I both know that in order for you to be paying $50 a month on a car note, especially if it's a new car, you put down like 80% of the value of the car. But and if you're financing a used car, it ain't worth it. But you would have put down about 80% of the value of that car because a $10,000 car on finance, you put down 6,000, you're only paying 4,000 for 2 years. They got you at like $75 a month kind of thing, right? Where you paying $50 a month with a $25 a month service fee, whatever. As long as you're able to pay that consistently so that over the course of that year to 2 years that you always paid it on time, those installment loans uh, benefit the revolving credit. So if you just have revolving credit cards, but you don't have any installment loans, you could actually boost your credit up by getting installment loans. It is more effective to what we say get a small loan, consolidation loan, like five or $10,000. Use that money to zero out all the other debt, and then just make large payments on that installment loan. So if you got $10,000 worth of credit card debt, and you got you a $10,000 installment loan, and you paid off all your credit card debt, and then you're making payments towards that installment loan, your credit card debt goes down, your credit limit goes up, and your installment loan is being massively dropped down. Then your credit score goes in a positive direction, right? Now, the fifth is new credit. This one's also at 10%, and this looks at how many new accounts you've recently opened. Too many in a short time can make you look desperate for credit and therefore riskier. So it's not a good idea for you personally to try to put your own line of credit every month, every month, every month, trying to get a credit card. But if you got a credit card, 3 months later, your partner got a credit card. 3 months later, you got a credit card. 3 months later, your partner got a credit card. You've had four lines of credit added on this year. You've only applied for two of them. The history of all four cards are going to average out to be roughly 4 months in that year compared to the rest of your um, um, credit history. And it should average out to be less impactful specifically because you're going to have higher credit limits. Now, if you're steady about this, because you don't have to do every 3 months, you can do once every 4 months. And if you got one and then your partner got one once every 4 months, that means that y'all are drawing back three credit cards a year. But either way it goes, you would have a higher limit and lower utilization because you're getting these cards, but you're not using them. Now, here's the heart of the problem. When you pay off a debt and completely close that account, you can negatively impact three of these five factors at one time: amounts owed, length of credit history, and credit max. Now, the algorithm sees these sudden changes not as responsibility, but as a shift in your established pattern, which introduces new risk. The system gets nervous and your score takes a temporary hit. If there's no one villain in this story, it is just the misunderstanding of the credit utilization ratio. So this single matrix makes up a huge chunk of that amount, the accounts owed category, which is 30% of your score, making it the second most important factor, right? And it is incredibly sensitive. So what is it? Your credit utilization ratio is the percentage of your total available revolving credit you're currently using. Installment loans don't count here. This is all about your credit cards. The math is simple. Imagine you have two credit cards. Card A has a limit of $7,000. Card B has a limit of $3,000. Your total available credit is $10,000. Let's say you have a $4,000 balance on card A and a 1,000 balance on card B. Your total balance is $4,000. To find your utilization, you divide your total balance by your total limit, meaning 5,000 divided by 7,000, or actually by 10,000 because you had 7 and 3. Now, since you're dividing 5,000 by 10,000, this is 0.5. So your credit utilization ratio is 50%. To lenders, a high utilization ratio is a massive red flag. It suggests that you're heavily reliant on credit and might be overextended. Most experts say keep it to an overall utilization below 30%. More importantly, other experts also say even with the lower level cards, you want each individual card to be at 30%. So you don't want to have a $500 credit card at 499 and then have a $1,000 credit card at $300, because the one that's at 499 is at 90% or 99% of its utilization, which individually impacts your credit harder than the 30% for the $1,000 level. So if you recognize that you have a $500 limit, you want to have 30% of that $500 limit at the most when the billing cycle ends. But if you want a top tier score, 800 plus, the real magic number is going to be under 10%. So you can do under 30% and swing 750, 775. But if you want to get over 800, you're going to have to be under 10%. Okay. So this means if you got $1,000 cards, your balances don't roll over with nothing more than $100 in your account. Actually, 850, so that when they hit you with the interest rate, that it is still under. See what I'm saying? Or not 850, $85, so that when they hit you with the interest rates, it's still under $100. You want it really, what I would do is keep it under $10. I'd keep it under 10. So you got a $300 credit card, keep it under $1. That way it is always below 3%. I be pushing the limits. I be trying to keep it at 1% or 0%, just to keep it as low as possible, because the lower it is, the higher your credit score gets. Now, let's see how this creates a trap. Trap scenarios. You have three credit cards. Card A, an old store card, $2,000 limit, $1,800 balance, 90% utilization. Card B, your main bank card, $10,000 limit, $5,000 balance, 50% utilization. Card C is a rewards card, $8,000 limit, but you don't never use it because it's a rewards card. It's got a $0 balance, 0% utilization. Your total available credit is $20,000. Your total balance is $6,800. Your overall utilization is 34%. 6,800 divided by 20,000. It's over that 30% guideline. So your score is being held down. You get a bonus and decide to do the responsible thing and completely pay off card A that is nagging that $1,800 balance. Then you call the company to say, hey, close this account. You feel a sense of victory, right? Because Michael says, pay off all your accounts and get rid of all of them and just keep one. But here's what the Bureau sees: your total balance dropped to $5,000, which is great. But because you closed card A, your total available credit also dropped from $20,000 to just $18,000. So what's your new utilization ratio now? Your new balance of $5,000 divided by your new limit of $18,000 is about 27.8%. You might think, great, my score should go up, but it's more nuanced. While your overall utilization improved, the model also sees that you just wiped out a line of credit, which shrinks your financial flexibility and makes your remaining balances seem proportionally larger. The problem gets even worse if you close a card you aren't even using. Say you close card C, the one with the $8,000 limit, just to simplify things. Your balance is still $6,800, but your total limit plummeted to just $12,000. I'm going to tell you right now, if you got a credit card that you're not using, that does not have a service fee, that does not have a usage requirement on it to keep it active, leave that motherfucker alone. Cut the card up and don't even worry about it no more. Cut it up in a bunch of pieces and melt it in a candle and don't fuck with it no more. Because that line of credit will do you justice for the rest of your life because it's not going anywhere. You're not going to impact it at all ever. And it positively impacts both your credit limit, low utilization, and credit history. Don't even mess with that. If you were to do something like that, your utilization would skyrocket from 34% to a disastrous 56.7% overnight. And this single action could cause a major score drop. This is the utilization trap. The impulse to get rid of cards after paying it off is what backfires. If you got a card and you pay it down, leave it alone. If it's the kind of secured card, credit building card, or whatever the case may be that charges you $8 or $10 or $20 a month to have it, whenever they add the money to the account, pay it. That's it. Pay it. In it's not 100% going to do you justice to drop it and get a better card. We're going to talk about that a little later too, because it is possible for you to converge and consolidate and have your $8 credit card limit account be transitioned into a higher credit limit card that would then uh that would then close out those other cards, pay off those cards, and then give you a higher credit limit. You could do that. You could do that. Those there got a lot of people who had American Express cards where they were paying on average like $65 a month for this $250,000 or $500,000 credit card. And they were saying that the fees were too much because they were charging on average about $350 a year to have this card. I would claim that as fucking bank fees on my credit report and get a discount on it. But some people complain about it and they're like, I don't want American Express. But you're going to throw away a $500,000 line of credit because you don't want to pay that $350 a year. Some people are paying $50 a year or $50 a month on a smaller line of credit. So if I could get that Amex card with that $500,000, I'll pay at $35, $40 a month all year long. Make sure I pay that on top of everything else. Shit, I'll be putting more shit on that card. You 300 a 500,000 or $300,000 card at 10% means that I can run a $20,000 balance on that bitch. If you're smart and you're living at 30% of your standard of living, 30% of your income. So say I'm making 100 grand. My cost of living should be 30 grand. If my cost of living is 30 grand and I've got a $300,000 credit card, I could take my annual bills, put it on this credit card for the whole year and still be at 10%. Now, while that's a waste of money because the interest rates are going to be a fucking killer, the fact is that I could pay for the whole year and likely only be paying like $500 a month at the most on the minimum monthly balance on that, which means that $300,000 or $500,000 credit card would be a fantastic lifesaver during the shutdown because I could have charged October, November, and December just to be on the safe side to that credit card, paid all the bills on that credit card, and then held my last paycheck to make the minimum monthly payments until my next paycheck came in. Because they typically charge you about 10% of the total balance. So if you had 5,000 or $7,000, you probably had to pay $750 a month. But it's way cheaper than late fees with interest. Now, when you're getting rid of these credit cards like this, you're not just eliminating the balance, you're eliminating the denominator in the critical equation. So you don't want to do that. The second reason your score drops is more subtle. The length of your credit history makes up 15% of your FICO score. Lenders want to see a long track record. The longer you've managed credit, the less risky you appear. This factor heavily weighs on average age of all of your accounts. The algorithm adds up the age of every account on your report and divides by the number of accounts that you have. So, student credit card 12 years ago, a auto loan from 5 years ago, a retail card from a year ago. 12 plus 5 plus 1 divided by 3, an average account age of 6 years. 6 years now. We're supposed to have 7 years on average of credit. So that right there just drops you down 6 years. Now you decided to close that 12-year-old student card to get rid of an annual fee because you don't really want to pay that fee. This is a common and damning mistake. It's very damaging to your credit score because you've just erased the most powerful anchor on your credit report. So let's recalculate it now. Now you only have two accounts, the 5-year-old loan and the 1-year-old card. 5 plus 1 is 2 divided by 2, and now your average account age is just 3 years. In the eye of the scoring model, your profile just got younger, extremely younger, and therefore more riskier, which will likely cause a score drop. So, see, I got lucky. I had a whole bunch of student loans when I went to college and got them deferred permanently. Those $0 on time payments until we make contact with one another again. That lender will never reactivate mandatory payments on that card. Doesn't matter whether or not they apply interest to it or not. It is always in good standings every month because a $0 payment is made on those accounts every month. Now, it would be way better if I paid those bastards down. But the moment I start sending money to the lender, the moment they trigger the mandatory requirement for me to pay them. So don't fuck with a good thing, leave it alone. And it actually leveled off, and I think around 62 or 65,000. So leave it alone. Oldest thing we've got going as far back as like 2010, right? So way back then. That means that all of those accounts until now, 15 years of average credit, right? Fantastic. Add something new to that now, it's going to give me an average of about 7 years. Now, there is a small silver lining here because accounts closed in good standings can stay on your credit report for up to 10 years and continue to be factored into the age calculation for most modern scoring models. So this helps you soften that blow. However, some older models do react more negatively. And once that account finally falls off your report after 10 years, you can see a sudden drop if it was one of your oldest accounts. Because after 7 years, after 10 years, that's it. That's it. So you did a good job paying off your car 7 years ago, and your credit score was high. You had good, you ain't financed a car since. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. 10 years down the line, what car? The key takeaway is this: your oldest accounts are gold. Closing one, especially your oldest credit card, is like voluntarily erasing your best work history right before a new job interview. So you don't want to do that if at all possible. So you got a shitty credit card, pay it down, leave it alone. That's your best bet. You've got an old loan, pay it down. If you're doing balloon payments and doing massive payments in the beginning, and then you start tapering off to the minimum payment to extend the life of the loan. The amount of the installment loan versus the amount left is the line of debt to credit that you have on that installment loan. The longer you have that installment loan, the better it is for you on your credit score, but the more money it costs for you on the back end. The ability to pay it off quickly shows payment capabilities, but if you pay it off too quickly, it doesn't even matter. So you get you an installment loan and you pay it off in less than 7 months. It does not benefit your credit score. But you get you an installment loan and you pay it off in 18 months, it'll linger for 7 years, 7 to 10 years. Now, again, that problem is going to be average. If you've got an 18-month installment loan that's done, it's paid off, your average is still going to be smaller than what it would have been if you would have had a 5 or 10 or 7 year loan. Now, one of the reasons why I'm talking about this before I continue going, think about every time you buy something online, they are now offering microloans, 6 months of payments for shoes, toys, clothes, accessories, whatever the fuck you're buying online. Instead of paying the full amount today, we can give you $20 a month until it's paid off over the next 6 months. Some will give you zero interest for the first 6 months, and then they'll give you a variable rate for the following 6 months, but you're paying it off within 12 months. You think, fantastic, I can get it right now. I can make small payments. I can get this item today, and I don't have to worry about waiting to get the money to go get it. But each one of those that you pay off is a small transactional loan it's an installment loan that hits your credit score, which shrinks your credit score. You got like 30 installment loans over the past 2 years, and now your credit score is shit because you got 30 installment loans. You've paid off 30 different accounts over the past 2 years, which means all of those accounts are less than 2 years old, right? Plus your longest history. So if your longest history was 15 years and you've got like 5 accounts, let's say you have 10 accounts that are 15 years old, and then you've got 30 accounts that are 1 year old. You got 45 accounts, and you're dividing that by the average of the 15 old accounts and the 30 new accounts, and you're likely to have something around 2 years, 2 to 3 years of average. That's the reason why your credit score is so low, even though you do so good on making on time payments. You keep everything where it's supposed to be with the credit limits and everything to that effect because you're taking out too many installment loans, buying things online when you could have just paid it in full and just made your monthly payments on your credit cards. Okay, I know that this is a lot of technical details, but if these light bulbs are starting to go on, do me a favor, guys. I want you to tap those reaction buttons, like and subscribe, and make sure that you share this with somebody that you know needs to hear this information because it tells YouTube that this is valuable information and it helps get the video out to more people who are just as confused as we were before I started talking about this. And I really want to hear from you guys because if you have any experience in this exact score drop after paying something off, let me know. Put it in the comment section because I read all of them and your stories help everyone else in the community learn. Now, the third reason for a score drop is all about diversity. Your credit mix something that nobody ever talks about. These accounts for about 10% of your FICO score. Lenders feel more confident when they see you can juggle different types of financial obligations. The two main categories are going to be the revolving credit, things like credit cards, where you borrow and pay back and then borrow again. Installment loans, which are loans for a fixed amount with a set payment schedule, like a mortgage, an auto loan, or a personal loan, SBA loan. And then imagine you took out a personal loan to consolidate a credit card debt for 2 years. You've been diligently making payments. Then you make the final payment. The loan is paid off, account closed. Huge win for you, right? But the scoring model sees that you previously had a healthy mix of both revolving and installment credit. Now you only have one type. Your credit mix has become less diverse. The reduction in diversity can trigger a small but noticeable drop in your score. So they're not lying in that ad when they say that taking out this five or $10,000 installment loan can boost your credit score. It can. It'll cost you the interest rates on the loan, but it can. This feels like a penalty, but from the algorithm's perspective, a piece of the puzzle it was using to evaluate you has been removed. The long term benefits of having a paid as agreed loan on your record for the next 10 years is huge, but the immediate impact can be frustrating. That temporary dip. All right, we know the problems. Now, for the solutions, how do you pay off debt in a way that makes your score soar? Oh, real quick before we go into that, special shout out for Noah. Noah Schaefer. It's been a while since you've been here, buddy. Good to see you. The one thing that we wanted to talk about real quick was that we noticed consolidations are good in some situations, especially when you can consolidate a bunch of cards with a good credit score. And when you consolidate those cards, it gives you a higher credit limit. So, like if you had like five or seven different smaller lines of credit with Capital One, then you contact their support system, you consolidate those cards, you get you a higher credit limit. It helps and it hurts because the number of cards that you had will be the number of lines of credit that you terminated. And that's going to cause a drop. But if you are able to increase your utilization while the age of your account will shrink, the not utilization, the credit limit will soar a little bit and that will offset. So you'll have a dip and a spike at the same time. It'll go up and down at the same time, which will kind of uh, sometimes if you consolidate like 3 to 5 cards and you drop that, that's going to probably give you 3 to 5 point drop. But then if you're able to get like 2 or 3 times more of a credit limit from the same company, and then you end up with that 30 to 50% increase, the 50% increase minus the 5% drop, you had an average 45% increase. So you still see a benefit that can happen. Consolidating debt with a credit increase, if you have accounts with partial balances on them and then you consolidate them or do a balance transfer with a new credit card that has an even higher limit on it and potentially no fees on it, and you do that credit transfer or that debt transfer and potentially terminate that card. If you terminate that card, that negatively impacts your credit score, but the higher limit on the new card, and then you pay off the new card, gives you a higher credit limit, and that will average the difference between the dip from the closed out account and the spike in the new account with the higher credit limit, and the dip from the new account sometimes can average out to be more than what you lost, where you see an average increase in your credit score. So a lot of people encourage consolidations. If you can not consolidate, just get limit increases. That would probably be the best thing for you. Now, if you don't like the fees on a card and you really don't mind taking that cut, in order to reduce those fees, then change credit card companies. But just note, if you can manage those fees or offset those fees somewhere else, like getting rewards back from one credit card, applying those rewards to the statement, and then taking the money you would have put on that card and put on a different card to pay off the statement on the other card. Manage it to where you keep those accounts alive and stretch out your history. That'll be one of the best things for you. But this is going to require a mindset shift. So we need to stop thinking, I need to get rid of this card. The way Michael was telling us plenty of times earlier this year, get rid of all of your cards and only keep one. No, start thinking, I need to get this card balance to zero and repurpose the card as a credit building tool. So you're not getting rid of all of your old credit cards. You're just going to pay them down and put them away. The only cards that you need to keep access to are ones that have revolving fees from possession of the card. Any card that has no transaction requirements, no minimum usage penalties, no revolving uh, 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 balance information on it that where they're like adding a fee to it every month, even if you don't use it. Any card that doesn't do that, where its limit is just going to stay its limit regardless of what happens, you can just and cut those cards up and put it in a drawer somewhere and never use them again, right? Or keep the card, cut up the strip, and never use the card again, so that you have the credit card information in case you have to call the bank and get the bank to do a credit increase on you every now and again. Because at least once a year, you should be able to call every credit card company that you have a credit card with and ask them to evaluate for a credit increase. You should. If you've been doing on time payments for the last 12 to 18 months and you've maintained reasonable balances on your card where the cards aren't totally maxed out on a regular basis, you should be able to qualify for some type of credit increase. Now, remember, the open credit line, once the balance is gone, becomes a powerful asset to you. So, here's a step by step playbook. First step is protect your oldest accounts at all costs. Your oldest credit cards are the foundation of your credit history because, unlike installment loans, those will never go away. Installment loans, no matter what you do, if you overpay them in the beginning, you're still going to fall down to the minimum monthly payment that has to be paid. And then once you pay off the total amount, the installment loan is done. The only thing you can do now is get another installment loan. Your best bet if you're doing installment loans, SBA loans, stuff to that effect, is you want to get loans that take a few years to pay off so that it'll be there as a credit boost. But again, the quantity of debt that you have, even with that installment loan, still needs to be 30% of the total quantity of credit you have accessible on your account. So you want a $10,000 line of credit. I said the best way is to have 10%. Well, if you have a $10,000 installment loan, you should have $100,000 worth of credit cards. If you have $10,000 worth of credit cards, you should have a $1,000 installment loan. It's plain and simple. That should be how it works out. You get you $20,000 worth of credit cards. You can do a $1,500 installment loan with $500 worth of credit or $500 worth of credit utilization, keeping you under 10%. That's the method to the madness. Some of your debt is an installment loan, and some of your debt is credit utilization, but total, it is 10% of your credit card. Now, when we start considering you student loans in this, because you still got all of those student loans, versus that's the debt to credit ratio, which also impacts your score. So if you have a shit ton of student loans and a very small quantity of credit, your debt is usually 100, 200, 300% higher than your credit. So your credit score is not going to go up as much as you would like while you're juggling this if you're not paying down those student loans. But for the sake of just juggling your credit cards right now, do not close your credit cards if at all possible. I repeat, do not close your oldest credit cards if at all possible. It's a mistake that can permanently lower your average age of your credit history. But what about the annual fee, you might ask? You have an amazing option, the product change. Call the number on your card and say something like, I've been a loyal customer for years, but this card's annual fee doesn't fit my budget anymore. I'd like to keep my account history with you. Can you downgrade me to a no annual fee version of this card? Most banks will happily switch you. You keep the same account number, and that's crucial because the same opened date is going to still be there, retaining that valuable history, but you don't have to worry about paying those fees anymore. Step two, you want to master the utilization takedown strategy. The goal is to show the credit card bureaus the lowest possible utilization ratio every month. So, first, understand the difference between your due date and your statement closing date. The due date is when your payment is due to avoid fees. The statement closing date is when your billing cycle ends, and it's the day your issuer usually reports your balance to the credit bureaus. This is the game changer. You could have a $2,000 balance all month, but if you pay it down to $20 before your statement closing date, the Bureau will likely only see a balance of $20 and report a very low utilization. So if you have a due date on, say, the 15th or the 29th, and you pay down, you might have had 75% of your card and you pay it down to a whopping $1. The billing cycle rolls, and you got to do, and when you do this, you got to take into consideration holidays and weekends. If your due date is on a holiday, the billing cycle cuts the day before. If your due date is on a weekend, it cuts the last billing day. So if your due date is on Sunday, the billing cycle will cut on Friday, which means you have to pay off your account by Tuesday or Wednesday before the billing cycle rolls over so that you have 2 to 3 business days for it to process and promote the payment as paid below average or below the amount, right? Then it reports to the three major credit agencies, which allows you to say, okay, I only got $20 on this card, or I only have $1 on this card. So a week ahead of the end of the billing cycle, zero that bad boy out, or leave like 75 cents on there. As for which card you're going to pay down first, you have options. There's an avalanche method where you focus extra payments on the card with the highest interest rates first. This saves the most money for you. There's a snowball method where you focus extra payments on the card with the smallest balance first, the smallest uh, balance due. And this is a quick win and it builds motivation. Also, if you're using the cards with the lowest credit limits with the lower balances on them and you pay those down first, your higher credit limits that have the ability to hold a larger balance on them will skyrocket your credit score even faster in that method. There's a score booster hybrid method that prioritizes paying down cards with the highest utilization ratio and cards with a 900 balance on a 100 or on a $1,000 limit, which is a 90% utilization. Because this type of thing where you have $900 on $1,000 is hurting your score more than a card with $2,000 balance on a $10,000 limit, which is a 20% utilization. Attack the 90% utilization card first to see the fastest score improvements. right? Now, another thing you can do is contact your bank, whoever your card is with, and change your billing cycle due date. You typically can only do this once. I would put the due date after a specific payday, several days after a specific payday. And you might offset them where you might have some of your credit cards due after your second paycheck of the month and some of your credit cards due after the first paycheck of the month, where you're going to take one paycheck and pay down whatever cards you have before the billing cycle rolls over, and you're going to take another paycheck and pay down the other credit card before that billing cycle rolls over, which aids you in paying all of your cards down before the statements roll out so that you're starting with the lowest amount that you could afford to have without not being able to take care of your standard of living outside of your credit cards. Now, step three, you want to become a proactive credit card gardener. Once your balances are down, you're going to become the gardener, tending your credit file. First, you ask for credit limit increases on your existing cards that are still in good standing, the ones that have had on time payments for more than 6 months, uh, and ones that you've owned for years that you've never done anything with. You try to get those increases on those cards. Higher limits instantly lower your utilization ratio. If you have a $1,000 balance on a $5,000 limit and a 20% utilization on that card, and your limit is increased to $10,000, your utilization immediately drops to 10%. Okay. Ask if the request will be a soft pull or a hard pull before it's done, because at a hard pull can cause a small dip temporarily, even if you're approved and you get the credit increase. If it's a soft pull, it happens. Whatever happens, happens. But if it's going to be a hard pull, before you ask for it, you need to be highly confident that this hard pull will end up with a higher credit limit. You can also ask them before they do it, what type of credit limit could you acquire? Whether it is double the limit, 50% more, what do they typically offer in their company based on projections of certain credit ranges? And they're going to always tell you, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But they're, oh, well, we just have to see. We just have to see. No, hypothetically, under the conditions of, say, a 665 credit score, if there was a request for a credit increase on this type of credit card, what do you hypothesize the potential credit increase to be? Right? It's not a guarantee. You let them know. I know it's not a guarantee. It is a hypothetical. And then they'll say, well, usually depending on what's going on, if you had a 685 and we did a credit increase from here, likely you might see anywhere between $200 and $500 increase. Now, if you're satisfied with that level of increase, huh, hit it. If it's not enough, if they say, oh, well, your $300 credit card might go to $600 credit card, but you're going to lose 3 points because it's a hard pull. Nah, that's all right. I'll wait till next year. See what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference. You can ask a lot of questions before you agree to the credit pull. But if it's a soft pull, fuck it. I'll take $100 increase. I don't care what you give me. Just look. See what I'm saying? Now, second, you want to use your old cards lightly to keep them active. If a card has no activity for 6 to 12 months, some issuers might close the card. So the fix is going to be simple here. You want to put a small reoccurring charge on the card for accounts like that. Something like Netflix, YouTube Premium, Spotify, gym membership. Set it to auto pay the full statement balance each month. And then the account that is set to auto pay from it always has more than that amount in that account. I would typically have a savings account, which FDA rules allows you to have up to 6 transactions on a savings account before they start charging you fees from most banks. So if you had a savings account where you just put 10, 20, 50, $100 in there every paycheck, and you've got this $25 charge that's going to go to your credit card once a month, and that charge is going to go towards a reoccurring bill. For Netflix is like $25 a month. Spotify is like 19.95 a month. YouTube is like 14 or $15 a month, unless you're getting a family plan. And these things generate where the billing cycle will roll over. Let's say again, I told you that the billing cycle is on like the 15th or the 29th. That's fine. You know how much the bill is. You have auto pay set up to automatically pay that card 3 days after the bank statement rolls over. You're processing the transaction. It's sending the credit card the money. The bill is paid. You can turn your brain off on that card. Don't fuck with the card. See how that works? And let's say you've got reoccurring charges. You've got Netflix on one credit card. You've got your Walmart membership on another credit card. You've got, I don't know, your Florida Sun Pass on another credit card, and you just continue to do the same thing. That way, you're always paying down that card. You're always staying on top of that card. And nowadays, you still have the capabilities to do a soft pull on your credit report and check the balance on all of your cards, because it'll tell you when your credit card change, when your credit score changes, which accounts change. So if you, oh, I thought that I had no balance on this card and it's got like $50 on there now. Shit, let me go and put extra $50 on to pay it down. Right now that the old account is reporting perfect payment history and low utilization every single month, this is actively boosting your score with very little effort. Step four, you want to embrace the installment loans. Graduation, that's going to be huge. So when you're about to pay off a car loan or a personal loan, be ready for a potential small temporary dip. Don't panic. Refrain from it as a graduation. You've successfully completed the contract. The account closes, which might affect your credit mix, but the long term benefit is huge. That paid in full mark will stay on your report for up to 10 years. So if you get you a $5,000 installment loan and you pay it off for 2 years, and then after you pay it off, you get you a $10,000 installment loan and you pay that one off in 3 years, and then you get you a $20,000 installment loan and you pay that one off in 5 years. Over the course of the last 6 years, you've had three installment loans over the course of $60,000 that you've been able to pay off. And each one of them gives you a paid in full mark, where the oldest account from the date that it was paid off would still be on your account when your most recent one gets paid off. Because remember, you did 2 years, 4 years, and then uh 6 years. So you start seeing a fluctuation, you start tapering off on that. And that's going to be a powerful testament to your reliability. The temporary dip will recover. And if you're, like I told you before, going to credit unions, getting you small loans with small interest rates, putting those loans into a high stock option, and then paying off the loan with the dividends. You're keeping the principal, paying off the debt with the dividends from the stock option, increasing your credit score, increasing your investment opportunities, and covering taxation, because when you pay on a loan, it's tax deducted. Interesting. So as you use this playbook, be sure to avoid some of these common mistakes. You want to never ever miss a payment. Payment history is 35% of your score, and one late payment is the single most damaging mistake that you can make that will stick with you for as much as 2 to 3 years when you're trying to apply for another loan down the line. And it stays, that late payment stays on your credit score for 7 to 10 years, especially if that account stays open for 10 or 15 years. That late payment 10 years ago is still sitting there as a late payment. That late payment falls off your credit score after the account falls off your credit score. Don't apply for new credit cards frivolously. Every application for a new credit card results in a hard inquiry. Even if they do a no ding credit pull, when they go to run your credit for a true credit in situation, there's going to be a hard hit somewhere. And when it dings your credit score, it's going to ding it for a few points. It's not just 1 point. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 points. Be extremely wary of co-signing on your homeboys. When you co-sign, you are 100% legally responsible for that debt. Authorized user sharing, that's fine because you're not going to issue them a card. They can't touch the account, but it reflects on their on the other person's credit report. If you're going to help your homeboy out and add them on as an authorized user of an account, they're not going to have any information, but you're going to boost their credit score where they can use that credit boost to go and borrow money from somebody else. Help a friend out. Doesn't hurt you at all. You can do that for a friend. You can do that for a family member. You can do that for your kids. Your 16, 17, 18-year-old, you add them onto all of your lines of credit, all of your positive lines of credit as an authorized user. Your kid has no debt and all of this credit. Your kid is at an 800, 820, 830 credit score out the gate. Zero down payment financing on a house, first time home buyer, the Trump account benefit, all of this stuff plays to the tune of bettering your child's ability to succeed. If they were using this to get student loans to go to college with an 800 credit score at 18 years old, they can get all the loans they want to get to go to college. And if you show them how to invest the money instead of waste the money, that kid can have a substantially large credit history at 18 years old and then have a very large portfolio at 18 years old. By the time they get out of college, all their student loans is paid off, which again keeps them in the high eights. And that gives them the capability to do more stuff, buy houses, finance things, hard money loans, private lenders, real estate investment deals, other commercial deals, because your payment history has been good since you was a child. Long as you don't try to cap and save somebody and throw away your credit history to max out all of your cards to take care of somebody else's stupidity. Your homie go to jail and you max out all your cards to get them out of jail and they don't got the money to pay you back and then they skip bonds. So now the bail bonds but keep all the money. No, that's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. They out there drinking and driving and crash their car. Now they in the hospital and you paying for all the medical stuff. No, that's not what this is about. You have to be responsible about your decisions. When you take out a co-sign loan for somebody, whether it's your kid, a family member, a girlfriend, whatever, if the other person pays late, it goes on your credit report as a late payment. They're not going to fix you. You see what I'm saying? So you want to monitor your credit report. You don't want to sacrifice all of the success that you made by building this up just so that you can throw it away out of loyalty to a friend or a family member. Make sure that you pay attention to the errors on your credit report, and these are going to be common. You can get free credit reports from all three bureaus at least once a year and dispute any accuracies any number of times. They typically don't cooperate with you unless they can truly find a discrepancy. And in one of my other shows, I gave you a list of ways of how to dispute them. I showed you how to file the dispute report. And sometimes when they don't cooperate with you, you do got to sue them. But guess what? When you sue them, it is $1,000 per transaction where you don't even have to put up much evidence to show that it happened. You just have to have the credit report. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. I notified them on this date, this day, and this date. They didn't make the change. Where's my money? Open and shut case. Now, up to $5,000 if you can prove how it impacts your life per transaction, where you show that it cost you more money here, you had higher interest rates here, that situation caused this interest rate to go up. which costs a larger quantity of proof. But if you're like, hey, they got my name wrong, they got like 15 different addresses up there that I asked them to take off, and they didn't take them off. They've got accounts on there that aren't supposed to be up there. These accounts are all misappropriated, and they have had the reasonable time to fix it, and then they didn't. That in a court of law, boom, easy money. And you multiply by three because you get each one of the credit agencies that has it up there. So if you've got three items on your credit report that's wrong on all three agencies, that's nine accounts. It's $9,000. So while you want them to fix it, it might be beneficial for you if they didn't, because when you sue them for it, they're gonna pay you and then they're gonna fix it. But you've got to be ready to um take that jump. The shocking credit card drops after paying off a card isn't a punishment, and it's going to piss you off because certain accounts, certain credit tracking accounts, certain FICOR systems that you get into track your credit score differently. So one might say that you got a 634, and one might say you have a 720, and you might just have a 685 when you go to use it for something. Sometimes the same system that is being used for the loan that you're about to get, or the financial system you're about to get, and the same system you was using to monitor it might be the same thing. So you thought you had a 686 and you actually have a 686 when you go with them. But it is a Russian roulette system. Remember that dips are temporary when those dips are not from non payment. It is a predictable reaction from a system that gets nervous about sudden changes. That dip is almost always temporary and is caused by shifts in your credit utilization, the average age of your accounts, and your mixed credit. The key to paying off debt and getting that high score that you deserve is to work with the system. The secret isn't just getting rid of all of the debt, but to manage your credit lines strategically. Pay every balance down to zero, but don't close those accounts. Keep those accounts open, especially your oldest ones. Use them lightly and responsibly. Nurture your credit file like a garden, and it will grow strong. The frustration you felt is valid, okay? But now that you're armed with the knowledge to turn that into power, the journey to an excellent credit score is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not an instant. I'm gonna fix my credit inside of 6 months. You could, but it ain't gonna last long if you don't maintain it after you did something to it. The important thing is that you're moving forward. And now that you have the map to get there without any more painful surprises, you actually can go back and rewatch today's show, get all the information, and not have to pay some credit bureau guy, some guru who knows everything about the secret ways to fix your credit. All of this extra money, you got the information from me for free. So you just save some money with that. And if you take this and proactively put it into action, you should start seeing within the first 3 months improvement. Within the first 6 months, dramatic improvement. Within the first year, great satisfaction. And then if you're following my method to continue to increase your lines of credit by every 6 months, adding a new line of credit to your credit report, that will further drastically improve your lines of credit. That is what you need. Now that you're on your way to mastering credit card debt, you're probably wondering about the best way to keep an eye on all these moving parts. So, we have a video that breaks down all of the ways that you can monitor your credit. We also have a lot of information in our membership that can show you exactly what I use to track your credit scores and get alerts on any of the changes. I get emails on a daily basis and from like what was it, Navi, uh, Credit Sesame, Credit Karma, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. I get all kinds of information about my credit report, right? And we'll show you what to do. Now, when you click on some of these videos, you'll be able to see everything that you need to see and how to set up an account so that you can be satisfied with where your credit score is and where you're trying to get it to go. Don't get discouraged over time because when things cost, things happen like the shutdown that happened for 45 days, it does cause a major setback. And even with that major setback, it might take 6 months to a year, 2 years, 3 years to bounce back off of it, depending on how bad you were impacted by that shutdown. But if you're proactive about it, you can work towards getting everything recovered and then you can start moving in a positive and forward manner. It is going to take some time, but if you're patient, you will love the results. Now, first, we're going to say thank you for coming to the show. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give y'all this information to help you guys become higher value men. But, ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, the information is not exclusive to the men. Y'all can take this information and make yourselves higher value women as well. Um, all you got to do is just find out what's going wrong in your life and then proactively put forth the effort to change the things that are inside of your control to change. And then everything that's outside of your control, you navigate around it. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that one more time. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.